Hello and welcome to Levant TV Headlines. US-led strikes hit Islamic State group fighters closing on a key town on Syria's border as NATO member Turkey reinforced its side of the frontier. Kurdish troops have launched offensives against the Islamic State jihadist group on 3 fronts in northern Iraq after seizing the villages of As-Saudia and Mahmoudia. Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, Ali Shamkhani, says Iran is to offer equipment to the Lebanese army to bolster its battle against terrorists. Afghanistan is to sign a long-delayed security deal to allow some US troops to stay in the country next year, signaling that newly inaugurated President Ashraf Ghani intends to repair frayed ties with Washington. And China has described major pro-democracy demonstrations in Hong Kong as illegal, adding that it supports the Hong Kong government's handling of the protests. Now let's take a look at the top headlines in today's newspapers in the Middle East. Starting with the UAE, the Khalij Times reports that militants belonging to ISIS group closed in on Monday to within only a few kilometers of a key Kurdish town on Syria's border with Turkey, despite continued airstrikes by the US-led coalition. The paper also reports that 9 Bahrainis have been jailed for life and stripped of their nationality for smuggling arms to be used in terrorist acts. From Lebanon, the Daily Star reports that after talks with Prime Minister Tamam Salam, a visiting Iranian official says Iran will donate military equipment to the Lebanese army. The paper also reports that pilgrims gathering in Saudi Arabia for the Hajj have denounced atrocities by ISIS jihadists as a virus threatening the world. And the Egypt Independent reports that the Egyptian Foreign Ministry condemned the speech delivered by Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan before the World Economic Forum, calling it a continuation of the lies that Erdogan keeps claiming about the situation in Egypt. The paper also reports that the Cairo Urgent Matters Court has prohibited the activities of the Independence Party, which is considered a political arm of the Brotherhood's National Alliance to Support Legitimacy. Now let's take a look at the top Middle East headlines from the UK papers. The Guardian leads its Middle East news, reporting that the family and friends of a 15-year-old schoolgirl from Bristol who is suspected of flying from Britain to join Islamist fighters in Syria have spoken of their shock and confusion. The paper also reports that police revealed yesterday night that the girl is believed to be in Turkey, having left the UK last week with a 17-year-old London girl and may be trying to reach Syria. The Independent leads its Middle East news, reporting that US airstrikes are failing to drive back ISIS in Iraq, where its forces are still within an hour's drive of Baghdad. The paper says 3.5 months since the Iraqi army was spectacularly routed in northern Iraq by a far inferior force of ISIS fighters, it is still seeing bases overrun because it fails to supply them with ammunition, food and water. The Telegraph leads its Middle East news, reporting that Islamist terrorists have released a third video of John Cantley, a British journalist held prisoner for 2 years, in which he delivers a scripted propaganda attack against Barack Obama's strategy in Iraq and Syria. The paper adds that in it he criticizes Obama's tactics of using airstrikes and proxy Kurdish and Iraqi ground forces against the Islamic State. Now let's take a look at the top Middle East headlines in international papers. From Germany, the Deutsche Welle reports that this week the Turkish government intends to introduce legislation in parliament that would allow a possible deployment of the army in neighboring Syria. The paper says the step represents a U-turn in Ankara and it has Kurds worried. And finally, China's Global Times reports that Syria's Deputy Prime Minister Walid al-Muallim has accused the United States of using double-standard policy in fighting terrorism at a high-level debate at the UN, saying there has not been any serious move to implement a UN Security Council resolution. And for more updates, please visit levant.tv. Thanks for watching. Be sure to join us again tomorrow. Bye for now.